Hey, this is Dan here from Rune Silk, and I'm joined by one other, and that's none other than Damo for show, and this is the Beardmail podcast. So sit back, listen, and enjoy.
Hello, good morning to our wonderful Beardmail audience, viewers. Today we are into November. Can you believe it, Dan? We're into November already.
It's cold already as well. I'm feeling the chill. It's not nice. I've actually got a jumper on for the first time in ages. Like having to put the coat on. It's really, really starts to get cold. And plus the clocks have gone back as well. So
What?
It makes it's so dark so early, so definitely getting that winter vibe coming in.
When you listen back to that, Dan, I don't know if that glitched or whether that was just what I was dreaming, but I swear you said the clocks have gone back and not the clock.
the clocks.
So let's get the hook in quick because we've waggled on a little bit. The hook is today we're going to talk about November, which includes a whole array of topics, right? So stick with us. If you don't like the first one, you might like the second. If you don't like the second, you might like the third. And if you don't like the third, you might like the fourth. Today we're going to talk about fireworks night briefly because that will just go off with a bang. Rembrance Sunday and Movember. I've got a gripe about Movember, if I'm honest with you. That'll be a good one. And then at the very, very end, we might talk about what's happening in December. We'll see how it goes. We are here. It's me, Demo for show. It's him, Daniel Jones, and we're going to entertain you, regale stories. We might even give you Dan. I reckon Dan, he's keen on giving people a little tip. You did mention that. You might give people a little tip. Is that going to happen? You giving them a little tip?
Can we start talking about my little tip? It's personal and it's a little bit. I'm a bit.
It's exactly 1.7, Dan. Our long-standing listeners will know exactly all about the 1.7. Don't you worry about that. So, speaking of massive explosions, let's kick it off. So this podcast will go out because we're very professional. We record in advance, right? So this podcast will actually go out on the 9th of November, maybe. So people would have already had fireworks. So it's probably best we talk retrospectively. So
those fireworks! Did you see those fireworks on the 5th? Wow. They were proper nice, weren't they? They're proper nice. I mean, fireworks is always an interesting one because I think it's changed for me now that I've got a bit older. Like when I remember from as a kid, like I've just got vague memories of my dad out there with a pack of 20 Marlboro hundreds, and that was his fuse. He'd light all the fireworks in the garden with a fag because he'd always have a fag on the go. Yeah. You'd have the Catherine wheels and we'd have the rockets. And, you know, as kids, it was the one time of the year when my dad would spend an absolute fortune on fireworks, just literally boof up in smoke, like hundreds of pounds on fireworks. I think he loved it, probably a bit of a pyro at heart. But now we just tend to just go to a public display just because it's easier. You can go and watch a couple of tens of thousands of pounds worth of stuff go up in the sky and then disappear home. But it's always quite a nice time, and we end up spending a fortune on those cheap little light up toys that break before we get home because I snapped them because they're playing with them in the car. But what about yourself? What is your childhood memories of fireworks versus what do you do now?
I want to halt you right there, Dan, because there's so much to talk about in what you've just said, right? I want to just get it in quick. I think it's ridiculous that people are going to spend money on fireworks because money is tight for everyone. If I see a firework going off in the back of someone's garden, I'd be like, well, you ain't got no cost of living crisis going on. You ain't got no heating problems. If you can afford to set off those fireworks, just send me some of that money. I will, so I'll remember later. Bangers. That's the one word I'm going to say. Bangers. But the reason I wanted to halt you there, Dan, was because I'm going to tap in to your beautiful voice and get you to describe in a noise a firework, and I'm going to guess what firework it is. I'm talking ASMR, right? I want you to do a firework noise, and I'm going to guess what it is. I'll put you on the spot a little bit, I know, but it's going to go off. Go on, Dan, go for it. Number one. That was you having an erection. And
I'll do
I don't.
it again. I'll do it again. I'll
Yeah,
do it again. I'll do it again. It's more of a.
That's a wet fart. Oh, that is good. That is good. That is good. That is so good. And if anybody's watching on YouTube, I apologize, but that looked like Dan was just noshing someone off. Where you were on the corner, this is going to be brilliant for our promo video guy. Where you were just off the corner of the screen, you were just going. Oh, sorry for that's it. Sorry for the Spotify. In fact, Spotify, you're lucky. If you're listening on the podcast, you're lucky. Dan, that was a. Oh God, I should have done some research on fireworks. That was like, it's just a box, and you just light the box, and it does a couple of different ones. Is it what? Dan, I only know a massive banger, and I only know a massive banger and a rocket, and it was none of them. What is it?
It's a Roman candle.
Roman candle. You probably can't say that nowadays. 2022. Right, next one. Don't be scared to get near that mic. That was a rocket.
No. More specifically, it was a real cheap rocket.
It was a dud. Yeah, good. So that's well, do I get a point for that?
You can have a point for a rocket.
Okay, so 1 point out of 2. Right, next one.
Wrong side. You have to go the other way.
That looked right on my screen. That was a whizzer.
The Catherine wheel.
Catherine.
Anyway,
just do a banger, Dan. Do a banger so I can do like a big bang one.
Can't even.
Pretty much covered.
Eye. That's all the little hot bits falling.
That was brilliant. Our promo guy's going to be like, there's too much cool stuff for me to cram down into 1 minute of a promo. In answer to your original question, fireworks as a child for me, it's always exciting, isn't it? If someone's doing it in the back garden, sparklers was always a thing. There was so much health and safety though. Never return to a lit firework and all this. So it was always a little bit scary if you were having a few fireworks in the back garden. But then it would be weird that, then people start having a few beers and they're lighting a few fireworks and they start to get a bit more careless. But I remember you could get those little bangers and they literally just red bangers. And this is as a kid now when you shouldn't have had fireworks. You just light them and lob them and then they just bang.
They're like the Chinese firecrackers, aren't they? Essentially like the celebration for Chinese New Year. But I went to a fireworks party once at Burwash Manor. And knowing where it was and who was doing the fireworks, we probably should have swerved that one because they were absolutely paralytic drunk, set up loads of fireworks in their land. And we were like, that firework came a bit close to But as kids, we used to get the cheap fireworks as well. You get the half-price fireworks after fireworks night. We used to get the air bombs and we'd fire them because those you could hold them once and launch them in your hand.
Yeah.
So
let's do a health and safety announcement, Dan. If anyone's listening to this, please do follow the instructions. And actually, fireworks is over now, so you can't do it anymore. Forget about it. It's done. It's dusted. It's gone. It's happened. I hope you stayed safe. We do
always be careful and think of animals as well, because obviously, if people have pets, dogs and cats and stuff like that, really hate fireworks. So hopefully, your animal, your pet, was managed to survive fireworks without being too distraught.
Yeah, it's a big deal, isn't it, as well? And hedgehogs under the bonfires. Got to check for hedgehogs.
But what do you do now? So the original question was, what do you go out and watch a public spectacular?
I'll be honest with you, I'm not really one for doing stuff. I would quite happily. This is me all over, right? I could just watch it on the online. Like you see a firework, I just watch it on. I don't even need to go to the pyramids. I can just Google Earth it and have a little look. That's enough for me. I'm quite easily pleased that. I don't need to go and stand in the freezing cold to go and watch loads of money go up in the sky.
Do you know what really baffles me though? My wife's absolutely guilty of this. Every single year she records the fireworks on her phone, and I'm like,
never watched that again.
And if you do, it's like it's just not the same, is it? Like the sound quality, the lighting, it just isn't the same. But as a kid though, did you do much around as a kid?
I don't know really. You would probably Probably a bit of both. Like they used to have a big one at the sports centre, the Ken Marriott Leisure Centre in Rugby. I think they still do it there actually. And this year, actually, been invited to go with my niece and nephew to a display, and I think it's wonderful for kids. Actually, I think I did go to one actually, but my nephew, he doesn't like the loud noises. I think he's a bit like me. Actually, he's a bit like he didn't like it. But I get it. Like it's a family day, night out. You can wrap up warm and cozy. It's something to do. I do like watching a good fire. I could sit for hours and watch a good fire. But I'm not into buying for £5 that epoxy stuff that's a light up thing that breaks in the car that you talked about. That's ridiculous. But having a cheeseburger outside in front of a fire, watching a few fire, I get it. I get the pull of it. But I mean, presently, money-wise, I do think it's a bit daft if people are spending money on fireworks themselves. And also, I tell you what, actually, you made me remember about being a kid. What I used to love as a kid was when you'd walk to school the next day, there would just be loads of rockets and stuff on the floor.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to picture, but it was a massive thing. I mean, how do you know where it's going to land? You don't, do you?
Well, that's the thing. You don't. Yeah, no, it depends where the wind carries it. Yeah,
tons of them.
I've been to displays where we're getting rained by all of the debris and stuff as a rocket comes up. You're there, and you can feel all the bits of like iron filings and stuff landing you and stuff like that. And but no, I do enjoy it. Like last year we went somewhere different because I think the one in Cambridge was cancelled because of still COVID related stuff. So we went to another one. But as a tradition, we usually go to the one in Cambridge because that's where my mum lives, my parents live. We go to Cambridge, go watch the fireworks, come back. My mum's made like sausages and jacket potatoes, and it's just every year thing that we do, and we get together and we have some nice food. Yeah, you heard it right.
You know what? I was just about to say, you haven't mentioned food yet. And I mentioned the food before you did, and you didn't even say anything about it. I'm like, what's happening, Dan? What's happened to you?
Yeah. So it's just one of those tradition things really that we quite like to do. But and obviously COVID put a bit of a swerve on that one. But yeah, it's one of those, isn't it? Cambridge is quite a funny one because you get tens and tens of thousands of people at Midsummer Common, and then you all walk back in this massive pack of people trying to get out, because there's only real sort of couple of exits out of Midsummer Common onto the main road. And
what is Midsummer Common for the people that don't know? Is it just like a big park?
Midsummer Common is common land in Cambridge, and
there's nothing common in Cambridge, it's posh over there. They have a university.
Yeah. And if I remember rightly, I don't know if it is. I'm sure it's Midsummer Common. If you graduate with a first from Cambridge University, it's tradition that you are allowed to graze your cows on Midsummer Common.
Really?
Yeah. Sorry.
Well, not many people tend to pass with a first over there then, because I ain't never seen no people grazing cows.
Load of cows. So anyway, that's fireworks done. Boom.
Boom. I like we did that. That was very good. How could anybody ever in the history of podcasting ever seamlessly link fireworks to grazing cows? Daniel Jones, ladies and gentlemen.
That's how we do it. But then I guess the history of fireworks night is an odd one, isn't it? We spend loads and loads of money putting stuff up in the sky to celebrate the fact that Guy Fawkes didn't blow up Parliament. It's a shame, really. Surely we would have celebrated more if he did blow up Parliament. But then, did you always have penny for a guy? Did you always have like the penny for a guy? People in your area?
No. It was just more decorative on top of a bonfire, wasn't it? It was never a give money for one. What is the concept of it? Do people make one and then stick it out of their house, and then people put money in the pot? Or
well, we used to have people would sit outside a shop with a Guy Fawkes that they'd made, and it was penny for a guy, and they would raise money to buy sweets. They wasn't supposed to raise money for sweets. I'm sure it was to raise money for charity or something. But there'd always be a few people who would literally, like, you walk past, penny for a guy, and it's just like you literally just stuffed a bin bag full of stuff and put a mask on it. I'm not giving you a penny for a sweets for anything. But the penny for a guy thing,
it should be all full of sweets from Halloween, really. Nobody should be wanting any more sweets by no time November comes round.
Well, yeah, precisely. My kids usually still have sweets come Easter, and then they've still got Easter sweets come Halloween. But what else have we got happening in November? We've got obviously Rembrance Days coming up as well. This is going to once this podcast released, that's in a few days, where we celebrate the fallen and the military and the army, and the people that gave their lives for our freedom. Will you be wearing your poppy with pride?
Yeah, big time. Do you know what? As I've gotten older, I've learned that the metal pin badge is the way to go. And then I always feel a bit better because you're actually putting always put a bit more money in the box for a metal pin badge. But I used to have get like a plastic one. But what I'd find is you put it on a coat, and then you're not wearing that coat, and then you go out and you're like, oh fuck, I haven't got a poppy on. So you go and buy another one, and then you go and buy another one because you've got a different jumper on, and then the one you had on your coat has fallen off, and then in the end, I think last year I bought 2 metal pin badges. I put one on my coat, and then I sort of kept. Actually, what was I doing? I went somewhere.
Don't lie. You just get the enamel pin badge, so you don't have to ever buy any more.
No, that's what I'm talking. That's what I'm talking about. But they're very savvy.
The same one for 5 years.
No, they put the date on it. They put the 2021. I went somewhere. I can't remember what it was, but I bought a load of them because I knew other people wouldn't have one, and then I dished them out. I can't remember what it was. I don't think it was I think it might have been like a day out with the boys or something, and there was like 5 of us, so I bought 5 enamel ones and handed them out. But yes, no, so I will be getting one. Although that said, I haven't actually seen the enamel ones. I've seen a couple of boxes out already because we're obviously recording in advance. I've seen the boxes of the plastic ones, but yeah, no, I do like to have a poppy, and I still have got older ones from previous years, but I will get a fresh one because it's supporting it. I did sell poppies once. I was trying to think what year it was, but I literally stood outside a shopping centre with some army people, just selling poppies all day. That was when I was doing some rugby stuff. Me and the Baron, Brendan Plester-Burt, we stood outside the shopping centre in Rugby and just selling them with like some young cadet army people or something.
Nice. Do you know why we used the poppy for Remembrance Day?
Because if you mash it up, you can get heroin off it, and that's really great.
Lest we probably forget. I'm going to forget everything in a minute.
Actually, the opium poppy is different from a poppy, isn't it? I think
it's white poppy seeds, and it's the white poppy seeds anyway.
We're not talking about drugs, talking about poppies. Enlighten me, Dan. Teach me, why do we use a poppy for Remembrance Day?
So it's from a poem, and this is where I probably should have done a bit more research and remember the name. It's an American poet who wrote a poem about the First World War, and it's to symbolize the bloodshed at one of the biggest battles during World War One. People can probably put some more information in the comments about that, but that's essentially the underlying thing. Is it's to symbolize the bloodshed, and obviously helps us to remember.
So, I'll hold my hands up. My historical night, I never enjoyed history at school. I was a geography kind of guy, but historically, obviously the World War One was humongous. So you look at the stats of how many people were involved and how many people died. World War One is fucking horrendous. It's massive amounts. And then obviously there's World War Two. But Remembrance Day, although is it essentially for World War One? But I know like it's an army thing, isn't it? It's a veterans thing. Anyone who's lost anyone who's served, it's a massive big deal. Obviously we are remembering those from World War One, but it's not just about the World War One people and victims and people that died. It's more. It's like it's always gone on in it. There's always. I
think traditionally it was for World War One, but I mean World War One was well over 100 years ago now, and a lot more people have given their lives and died in battle. And so I think it's just become more of a tradition just to spend that time and remember those that have fallen in battle is in a sort of generic sort of across all battles. I'm sure that the Americans probably use it to remember those fallen in Vietnam and World War II and that sort of thing. And I know my granddad was usually quite big in it, big on celebrating. And I remember we went to the D-Day celebrations, the 50th anniversary of the D-Day landing in Portsmouth, and he was still alive then. He was an engineer in World War II. And I can't remember. I was very young then. I think that was 1994, so I would have been just 11 years old. So I can't really remember, but it was wicked because there was like all the gunships came out and all the big Navy fleet came to South Sea and doing all the cool, submarines and ships and everything. And there was loads of stuff happening with the Warrior and the Victory and that sort of thing, and planes going over. It was a great celebration. I know it's not Remembrance Day, but it's just me remembering now my granddad who was in the war and doing stuff then. But it's interesting to hear some of the stories as well. Like my granddad had some amazing stories. I mean, unfortunately, he was captured in a Japanese prison of war. He was a Japanese prisoner of war and spent a good few years in a working camp in Japan. Well, I think he was it Hong Kong? I think he was captured in Hong Kong. I can't remember the exact location now, but you know, these stories are what make us. You know, they're our legacy almost. Although they didn't happen to us, but you know, it's part of the story of how we then became, and it's our history and that sort of stuff. And it's a lot when it's personal. It can be quite a lot more interesting. But yeah, I had some cracking stories, you know, from my granddad from the war and bits and pieces like that. So it is nice to remember, and I'll probably be remembering both my grandfathers are dead now. My granddad on my dad's side, so he was served in the RAF, and so it's nice time to remember.
Yeah, my granddad on my mum's side was in the Navy. That reminded me of a story, actually. This is a little bit of an aside, but I listened to a book which was horrendously brilliant, and oh god, for life me I have to remember his name now. It's basically, you know, I like to listen to stories of survival and endurance and overcoming the odds. Oh god, it's given a blank. It'll come to me before the end of the show. Alistair Urquhart, and he was a Scottish Highlander serving in the British Army, and he got captured over in Singapore and Japan, and it's his struggle. He was in a prisoner of war camp for a couple of years, and it's an horrendous story, but such a stoic, hardy chap. Really, really interesting. I think it's called The Forgotten Highlander, Alistair Urquhart. I'd highly recommend getting I had it on audiobook, and it really puts into perspective how easy our lives are right now. I mean, you know, I was doing a park run, and I was thinking, God, I'm breathing hard, and this is really difficult. And then I just thought about him, and I'm like, no, what he was doing was difficult. I've got Nike trainers on, and I'm running for a poxy little
and you can
mile,
and you can stop, and you can stop whenever you want.
This poor guy in this camp, being fed a pathetic little small portion of rice with maggots in it, living with scabies and horrendous health conditions, and that, getting beaten up and tortured, and seeing they've all got cholera and dysentery, and seeing his friends die and people he served with. And then there's twist in the story. I won't spoil it, but it's horrendous. But it puts into perspective that we don't and won't, most of us, ever really understand what it's like to serve in a war. And I think that's what Remembrance Sunday is about. It's about respecting how fortunate we are to be able to live freely without having to, because these people weren't signing up for war. They were just told, right, drop everything you're doing right now. You're on our team. We're off to war. Like I tell you what, now the general people in the world right now are just not as hardy. They're not as stoic. They're not as determined as people from that era. I mean, the stuff that he went through, for example, to survive, like normal people ain't doing that nowadays. We're too comfortable. We're far too comfortable with modern technology and support and health and stuff.
Well, I mean, you had 15-year-olds lying about their age so they can go and fight, you know, and for then, you know, it was a big thing. We're actually watching. Well, my wife's watching a program called Call the Midwife. I've seen a few episodes in the background, and that's based sort of very shortly after World War II. But it shows London how it was after, obviously, the Blitz and the bombings, and there's still rubble everywhere. And you know, it's actually really incredible to see. You know, and then we wonder, you know, what was it like? You know, my mum's husband, my stepdad, you know, he was born in 1939, so he was a war baby. So although he didn't really remember so much of the war, he grew up in that sort of aftermath of all the, you know, oh look, there's a bomb, an unexploded bomb over there. Should we go and kick it, see what happens? You know, so it's it is interesting, and that's why time travel would be quite cool. But if you could be invincible whilst you were traveling, do you know what I mean? You could go back and have and just witness some of these things with your own eyes, so you could actually really understand and, you know, what it was like. And I think, like you say, you know, kids nowadays don't know how good they got it.
Can you imagine? Because like my nan is 96. She had her birthday last week, and so she would have been 19 or so during the war, and the Second World War. And I asked her about it, and she's like, "You just get on with it. You just get on with it. Things change, you know, like you have to do the blackout and that, and you just get on with it." Can you imagine now if they said to everybody, "There's going to be rations. So when you go to the shop, you're going to
Sorry, that's not food though, right? That's not. We're not rationing my food right now.
Yeah, sorry, Dan, you're going to be the worst. But like
God,
literally,
imagine how angry I'd be.
Can you imagine the uproar if they actually explained to you that you're only allowed to have, one sausage a week or whatever it is? It's like people
I
couldn't cope with
I
that
think
now.
we will have that. I think we will have that. I was watching an interesting video actually the other day on about something. I think someone posted on the Facebook. It's about the full digitalization of currency and losing cash and having everything digital. That eventually what will happen is that they will be able to dictate what you can buy. So if you go to a shop and you go to McDonald's and you go to try and order some food, you'll have to pay for it first. And it will say, no, this is your second McDonald's this week. You're not allowed it.
Yeah. You've talked
genuinely will happen. Yeah, I reckon another 10, 20, not 10, maybe, I reckon a good couple of decades time, they will control. So if you've had your sugar allowance for the week, you need to go and have a carrot or something like that.
Just as an aside, they already sort of do that in prison. Actually, if you're a prisoner in prison, your spends are limited, so you're only allowed to spend X amount on your weekly shop, as it were. And that's a massive controlling thing, and it's done in prisons for the benefit of not allowing bullying. Because if someone's got a whole load of something, they can trade it for other things, and it causes problems, and it can be stolen, and it's valuable, and that. So that's what it's done in the prison environment. But absolutely very controlling. I could see why a bigger picture government or businesses or somebody would want to do that. From a health perspective, that's pretty clever. If they said you can't have McDonald's twice a week, because then you go KFC or Burger King or whatever. But no, Dan, I don't even want to comprehend that. We're talking, that's
another topic altogether.
We've
sideswerved. So I mean, the other thing we haven't really spoken about, which is quite a big thing in the bearded community, especially, and sometimes it births new bearded into the community. That's Movember. I think I know a lot of people who have. Look at the Joe the Tash, and was it Joe the Tash? I think he started growing his tash in November. A lot of people start growing their facial hair, and then they're kind of like, actually, I look pretty dashing in this beard. I'm going to crack on, because I think a lot of workplaces, they will only allow you. Some are changing, getting more flexible. They only allow you to have a beard if you've got a beard. They don't like that phase of clean shaven to beard. So I think it gives good people an excuse to kind of go, right, I've got a month. Let's go. Let's try and see what I can achieve.
Well, Dan, I need to talk about this because it's actually quite upsetting for me. I'm a massive stickler for the rules, right? And I think what's happened is they've changed the rules without me realizing, because I haven't been that interested in Movember this year because obviously I have a full beard, and my understanding of Movember. And this is where it's changed. My understanding of Movember is, and I did it years ago, you have a clean shave on the first of the month. Correct. And then you grow only your moustache for the whole month. And then you raise money because people will donate money because it looks silly to have a moustache. That was the whole point. You never normally have a moustache. You're going to look different. You're going to look a bit silly. It's going to be a bit interesting. It's a bit quirky. It's a difficult new thing that you wouldn't normally do. So that warrants having a bit of money for men's mental health. Brilliant concept. That's what it was when I once did Movember. However, I've seen people now, and please educate me, I've seen people now calling it No Shave November.
Yeah. I think that's a different thing altogether. So Movember as the charity... Movember as the charity is for prostate cancer, and I think No Shave November is slightly different. I think it's obviously born out of Movember.
They've just piggybacked and stole it. Disgusting.
Because then they started saying, a lot of big kickoff were, well, women can't get involved. So what they started doing was they just stopped shaving their legs. So I think that's where No Shave November came. Was then women were saying, well, I'm not going to shave my legs for a month. No,
you're thinking of January.
Is it January? What's that?
When they grow lots of...
No. So women actually get involved in Movember or No Shave November by not shaving armpits or legs.
Okay, big fan of that. So ladies, if you're doing No Shave November, brilliant, because it's not normal, and you probably normally would shave. The bulk of ladies would probably shave their armpits. And so it's different, it's quirky, it's unusual, it's something it's difficult that you wouldn't normally do, and then go for it. So that's worth giving money to. I genuinely don't feel that just not having a shave on your face is So, and probably because I'm in the bearded community, and obviously I know loads of people with beards, it's not a big. Why would you sponsor somebody just not to have a shave? That's not for me as a big advocate of charity, and I do a lot of stuff, and a lot of everything I've ever done for charity has been difficult. That's why you ask people for money. If it's difficult, ask people for money, and they go, "Yeah, that's difficult. I'll pay for you to do that." That's how it works in my brain. Different for different folks, I know. But also, Dan, this is how it's annoyed me a little bit. You used to get December beard. And what happened
December. Wasn't December or something?
December beard. But what used to happen was guys that were normally clean shaven said, "Oh, for charity, I'm going to grow a mustache." And then when December came, they were like, "Actually, I've quite enjoyed having a bit of facial hair. I've enjoyed having this attention. I've enjoyed raising money for charity. Do you know what? I'm just going to carry on. I'm just not going to shave my face now." And so it became December beard, and people would not shave for December. So I liked that because there was a transition of do a charitable thing, get your little tash to go. Then December, you decide to grow facial hair. And then boom, middle of December, you're signing up for Damo's Beardy Fun Club because you want to know about how to grow a beard.
Nice plug, I like that.
But now it's all changed and they're just doing no shave November. That's not even a thing for me. Beef.
See, I always said that I was going to do a reverse Movember and I was just going to shave every day for a month. And then I was like, actually, no. Not having that. Forget that. Because I always have had some kind of facial hair. So I was like, do you know what? I'll just do one where I shave it every day for a month, and then I just kind of looked at my face and went, "I'm not shaving." I'll just donate to someone else's Movember campaign. So,
yeah.
But beard coming in. Tip of the week. Gonna give you my tip of the week.
I really love that, Dan. I'm really excited for it, but I haven't finished talking about Movember yet.
I know you've ranted about Movember. We're 32 minutes in. We're gonna have to start.
Let me have another.
Come on, get. Go on, time you go. 34.
And my understanding of Movember is that all of a sudden they realised that just growing a moustache wasn't exciting enough, or some people wanted to get involved and raise money for charity, but they couldn't necessarily grow a moustache. So they said, "Oh, you can just do whatever you want. So you can do 100 press-ups, or you can do 10 sit-ups, or you can do a walk every day, or whatever." And they just, for me, they diluted it. And this is just my brain how it works. If Movember is grow a mustache for a month, I love it. Stick with that. But because they're thinking, look, we want to get more people involved, we want to get more money, we want to help more people, which is great, but it's diluted. So all of a sudden, when I see Movember, I don't know that it's just someone growing a tash. I'm thinking, oh, it could just be somebody who's doing 10 sit-ups a day. And again, that's not, I don't want to sponsor you to do 10 sit-ups a day because that's not enough of a thing for me. I know that's my personal. Well, I think it should be hard. I don't know charity. Do you? Anyway.
Over 3. There's your minute. Shut up.
Dan's 1.7 tip of the week.
Tip of the week. So this is obviously this is a new feature to the show. I'll probably have about 7 tips and then we'll run out of tips, but I don't know. It is accessory time, and I see a lot of people in the bearded community. They say, "Oh, I hate it the way that my beard dips in." So they get this kind of like a bit of a wave that kind of kinks over here. And essentially what happens is that you're trimming this bit a lot shorter. A lot of people tend to get this fade and they kind of leave this to get really big. So as this stuff is kind of a little bit shorter, it's then obviously battling to get over the beard. So this is the tool that you need. It's a
I have to hold you right there, Daniel. Remember, some people aren't watching. So describe.
So this is a curling brush, and this is it's a combination of, it's got, excuse the hairs on it, but it's got there you go, Damon's got one. So this one in particular has got the little baldy bits at the end, and it's also got like a boar bristle as well. Have you got the boar bristles alongside yours as well, Damo, for show?
No, mine's plastic, so don't throw it in the ocean.
So this is a boar bristle and knobbly bobbly bit. So for those who are listening, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to where my sort of cheek line meets the sort of my longer part of my beard. I'm gonna reverse roll up towards my cheek line, so you can almost then see that my beard hair is going to start flicking out at the sides. So this is a perfect little tool, but also these comes really good for getting your beard straight. I know it's a curling brush, but if you work backwards, you can get it straight. So now that I've lifted those top hairs out, I'm just going to roll it, and as I pull the brush down. I'm going to roll it in towards my face as I brush downwards to straighten the beard. So this is tip of the week.
Tip of the week. Tip of the week.
How to reduce the curvature and the dip of the beard, but whilst also getting a really nice straight line in the beard. You can actually see, we can't see if you're listening, but what it does is when you do a backwards roll, so you're rolling it in towards your face as you go down, you're then doing a reverse curl, which will keep the beard nice and straight. A lot of people might use a boar bristle brush, but with these things, the ones with the curling brushes, because they've got the combination of the boar bristles and the extra long spiky bits, it means it gets to really work in the beard whilst those boar bristles smooth out and give it a nice fine finish. If you want to have a look, this should really get you to go and have a look at the YouTube and watch as I brush my beard. But this is another thing as well that a lot of people should really do with their beards, is spend time actually grooming it, because we do get kind of dry skin. Whether you use beard products or not, you're still going to have dry skin. Your skin's going to flake because essentially your skin flakes all over your body. It gets trapped in the hair. So beard oil isn't necessarily a cure for beard draft. You just need to get a damn comb through it and clean the beard through. Clean it up. And look at that. Look how straight my beard looks.
For those listening on podcast, Dan's beard looks straight. Hey Dan, why did you adopt the blankety blank tune for tip of the week?
I don't actually know. I think it was just the first thing that came to mind.
You could have had any, absolutely any.
Tip of the week. Tip of the week. No.
Dan's tip of the week.
Tip of the week. Boom.
Hey Daniel, this has been a really brilliant podcast. I know normally we sort of just talk about one topic, and today we've talked about three, and there's still one other thing I want to talk about. But maybe that's encouraged our listeners to listen all the way to the end. We had some very lucky listeners from a couple of podcasts a little while ago. They got some Beardmail wristbands. Not going to tell you how to get one because it's top secret. You've got to be a dedicated fan. But Dan, whilst we are sort of wrapping up, and I know we've gone over a little bit, but it's a good one. I think people will like this one. And I think there's been some brilliant bits for our promo guy to snaffle together a YouTube short. But is there anything else you would like to just finish up on before we talk about what's going to happen in December?
No. I think I've covered it. We've had tip of the week. We've had fireworks. We've had remembering. We've had Damo's gone off on a major rant about Movember and how it's changed, and the absolutely savagery of people, how they change these things. Nope, you can go on to December and tell us all about.
There's one more beard competition on the calendar.
No. Damn.
Now, traditionally, the only bit of beard action in a competition fashion you could get in the bearding calendar was in Blackpool in December, and they used to have the winter whiteout sort of competition, but they haven't done it for a couple of years. And now, out of the blue, the Devon and Moustache,
the
Cornwall and Beard, the Devon and Cornwall Beard and Moustache guys, Claire and Mike, have nobbled together a little beard competition at the Rome Brewery, which is run by Dan Heath. And it's on Saturday, December the 10th in Plymouth. And it's a cheeky little beard competition. A little bit last minute, but I think they got excited because obviously them guys have won the bid for the British Championships 2024. So they probably got excited by that. I thought, let's do a little Christmas one. So it's going to be cool. I'm going to be going along, representing Beardmail to the max. Dan. I'm going to be repping Beardmail to the max. But Dan Heath is a cool guy. He's got his own brewery there, Rome Brewery, and I think there's going to be an extra special prize for anybody who's in Christmas attire, which ruins my fancy dress plans because I've already got something sorted. But there's going to be an extra special prize for anything Christmas related. But it's a cool little get together down south, and that's what's going to be happening December the 10th, Saturday. So 12 till 6. Just turn up on the day. So if you're in the hood. If you like beards, if you want to see me and other people, obviously, just pop along.
I'm gutted it's on the 10th, actually, because sadly I can't make the Plymouth one. But because I'm doing the design and craft in Londres. So if you can't make Plymouth, if it's just too far, but you are in London on the 10th and the 11th, come down to Brick Lane, the design and craft at Truman's Brewery. You can come and check out some rune silky goodness. And I probably have some beard.
A rune silk stand at a brewery.
It's at the up. It's not a brewery anymore. It's Truman's Brewery, which was an old brewery on Brick Lane. It's now home to upmarket and loads of indoor markets, loads of good food, loads of crafty stalls. But it's my last chance to really get out there in person with the rune silk vibes. So please do, if you are in E1, come and say hi there Saturday and Sunday.
Hey Dan, this will put you on the spot then, seeing as we're dragging this podcast on forever. What are you doing on Friday, December the 16th at 8 o'clock?
I saw your post actually. I'll probably be doing the DBFC beard brand quiz as it goes.
No, it's the UK beard brand quiz.
UK beard brand quiz.
It's nothing to do with DBFC, but if you are in DBFC, you get to know a little bit more about what I'm like. And if you know what I'm like, you've probably got a better chance of guessing what the answers to the questions might be. But yeah, so I'm hosting the UK Beard Brand Quiz on December the 16th from 8 o'clock. It's Friday. It's an online quiz, interactive. Anybody can play. I could even stream it in the Beardmail group, actually. But yeah, you literally can play on your phone at home, and it will be all questions about celebrities and quizzes and
Christina Ricci and badgers. I
clearly haven't done the questions yet, but it'll be about beards and it'll be about Christmas and it'll be a whole lot of fun. And I'm going to have a load of UK beard brand owners in the studio with me. So Dan from Rune Silk hopefully will be there. I've already got confirmed some Viking action. We've got the bearded Viking, Lewis Hickman, is going to be there, and also the bold Viking, Callum. So the Vikings got in quick. They're like, yes, I want to be on the show. So maybe we can get Vikings main as well. That'd be 3 lots of Vikings. Anyway, that was my cheeky little seamless plug that I hadn't anticipated. It's 42 minutes, Dan. This has been a fabulous podcast. We should do one of these every week. Oh, we do.
Hang on a minute. I think we might just do that.
We already do. Plug the box, Dan. Plug the box. Oh, God, we're talking about December and what's happening in, November. We didn't even tell everybody what we're doing in November the 12th, which is going to be absolutely chuffing amazing. Should we tell people?
Oh yeah, we're gonna. We could. Yeah, I will, because it will go out. Just
no, keep it a secret. Keep it a secret.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it in next week's podcast.
Keep it a secret. Keep it a secret. The secret. Yeah. It's so good though. Thanks for watching.
If you want to find out what we're doing on the 12th, tune in next week.
I love it, Dan. Let's say bye-bye to the people and remember where the buttons are. Bye. Thanks for listening or watching the Beardmail podcast. We have new episodes dropping at 07:30 a.m. every Wednesday in UK time. So we thank you very much for watching. Check us out on www.beardmail.co.uk for everything that's new and happening soon. Thanks for listening, guys. Dan, for our really dedicated listeners, we should tell them a little bit, maybe, what's happening on November the 12th. So if they've listened this far, they should be rewarded. But only the people that have listened this far. Also, just quickly, obviously we do this sporadically, right? And the dedicated people do listen. But I have realised that it knackers up our YouTube stats so much, because it's great if people listen to the end. And people do listen to what they think is the end, but we always do that little bit extra. It's terrible for our analytics. Anyway, November the 12th, Daniel Jones and I will be in Oxford city centre, giving away a couple of Beardmail boxes in emphatic fashion that's being filmed, and it's going to be an amazing day out. It's like 99% confirmed. That is what's happening.
If you're in Oxford on the 12th of November and you see a couple of post boxes having a fight, go and see.
Just give it away. Shush.
No, we have to
say a bit about the post box.
Come and find us. They want to find us. Come and find us, because it'll be really good fun. So if people come down and get involved, then obviously just come down, see if you might win a Beardmail box. We've got some Beardmail boxes to give away. Just get down to Oxford.
We should stop saying stuff, Dan. We should stop saying stuff. Bye, everybody. I cut him off. Bye.